Sometimes he talks like an idiot. They're doing bad things. And then you realize 4 days later, holy shit, that was brilliant. So with the Mexicans thing, these Mexicans are rapists. You go, what? And then you look it up and go, holy shit, 80% of these women get raped crossing the border by these coyotes? Holy crap. And then another example of this, him being 4 steps ahead, is when he says, he's trying to do this travel ban, right? Muslims are a threat to America. And everyone goes, that's crazy. And then he says, the press isn't reporting on the following terrorism cases. This. He lists about 20. So then the media goes, that's not true. We reported on this. We reported on that. We reported on the London bombing. We reported on Benghazi. We reported on this. And then he duped them into talking about terrorism for 3 days straight. All of a sudden, his travel ban looks pretty reasonable.
Oh, that's interesting.
So he's often setting a trap for people that they come bounding into. Your parents got divorced, and I want you guys to come over to the Trump train, which is why I get so emotional. Your mom got divorced. She has a new boyfriend now, okay? He's your stepdad. And I know he's not your real dad, and you keep screaming, you're not my father, and storming upstairs and slamming the bedroom door. He's the best you got now. He's your dad. So you have to accept that and move on.
I'm even annoyed reliving this story. And the guy says, just a lot of people that love you a lot and are worried about you, man. Is that the worst quote you've ever heard? I'd appreciate it if you could apologise. I couldn't help but notice you were swearing in front of a lady.
You're talking about culture, and it's important to make that distinction as a Western chauvinist, that I think the West is the best. I don't care what race you are, but I don't think that other cultures are different. I think they're worse, and Islam is 500 years behind us. We were shitty. We had witch hunts.
Inquisition.
We had the Inquisition. They're not caught up to us yet. They're not as advanced. And I think two big problems with them as far as progress goes is the Quran is an exceptionally violent book. It doesn't have a 2.0 the way Christians do. And no one ever talks about this, but they have a major problem with inbreeding. They are marrying their first cousins again and again and again, and that makes your evolution go backwards.
I'm just wondering if you really think that sort of stuff occurs in a vacuum.
I do.
It does. Okay.
I think that foreign policy is a tiny fraction of their crazy inbred agenda.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin, you're on a slippery slope because that does get pretty racist pretty quick.
It's apples and oranges. I don't have to jump there. I'm talking about inbreeding.
People say apples and oranges.
Muhammad said you can marry your first cousin. Yeah. That is not only a huge problem in Pakistan and throughout the Middle East, it's actually a problem in India because they do it to preserve the family money. Now, you do that once or twice, it's not great. You do that for 40 generations, and it starts dictating the behavior of an entire group of people. And out of Islam, all Muslims, I've seen studies that say about 25% think that suicide bombings sometimes are often justified. That's a lot of people.
What I was confronting originally was, Gavin, frankly, the point that you made.
There's a huge genetic component to this, too.
Yeah, I think that's not...
That doesn't mean you have to apply eugenics to every single problem in the world.
Well, eugenics is bad science, so I'm glad that you wouldn't do that.
But we can say inbreeding is bad, and if it makes you feel more comfortable, I can give you
I'm willing to take a stand against inbreeding with you right now.
And Muslims saying that, no, you can't marry your first cousin. This is causing serious diseases. It's causing all kinds of health problems, and it's making a big portion of us nuts.
Look at Iran in 1965. Mini skirts, woman doing chemistry with test tubes, driving around. Hi, you want to go to the go-go hop later? And now just garbage bags. Oh, yeah, Gregorian chants everywhere. Irshad Manji in The Trouble with Islam, she says, a weird group of wasabis just hijacked the religion and sent it into the Dark Ages. And I go, yeah, but how were they vulnerable to hijacking? Christianity couldn't be hijacked by the snake guys. So why? And I think a part of it was inbreeding. And every time I bring this up, people go, yeah, what about white people, hillbillies? They were inbreeding, or royalty, they were inbreeding. And I go, yeah. And it went real bad. It was a bad move. We learned the hard way. We saw Deliverance.
Strap yourself in for this. 70% of all Pakistanis are inbred. And in Turkey, the amount is between 25 to 30%. More stillbirths among immigrants. A rough estimate reveals that close to half of everybody living in the Arab world is inbred. A large percentage of the parents said, this is blowing my mind.
I blog posted it before I came here. I also read somewhere that a lot of the symptoms of inbred people are irrational rage, fanaticism, and they end up just describing ISIS. People are scared of genetics, too, because it gets into eugenics and they get uncomfortable. But
it gets into racism, too. You know,
racism, but... Yeah. I come from a shitty Glaswegian family. My uncles were drunks. And maybe coming from a shitty group, you develop this immunity to fear of your group sucking. Like,
Well,
I
have
don't
a
care what
fear
you
of
say
my
about
group.
my group.
So I'm Italian, mostly Italian. I'm 1/4 Irish, and fucking, I came from a line of savages. They're ape people. You know, there's a good percentage of my ancestors and relatives that I know that are fucking ape people. And I can say that because I know them and I come from them and I have ape people instincts that I fight off every goddamn day
You're
of
an
my
ape
life.
man. The first time I came here, you were trying to separate your spinal cord because you had crushed it from choking people out.
And I brought him a microphone. I said, come up here and you tell me which of my ideas you don't like, and you tell me what your idea is, and we'll discuss it. And he's like, whose campus? Our campus. Whose campus? It was really like a broken robot. And one of them, by the way, had a drawing of this on a piece of paper, and he was holding it up at me like this, like, what? You ever heard anything more insane in your life? I mean, maybe it was 1920 and we were at a British private school or something, and you're the only one. People are screaming at me, dude. They're saying, like, die, scumbag, Nazi, and you have a drawing of a fuck you finger. So insane.
Speaking for myself, I am profoundly lazy.
So you, in your hotel room, you just sit around in your underwear, eating yesterday's hamburger, which is still on the ground, watching an X-Men you've seen 3 times now.
I would do that, but I'm so paranoid about wasting my life because you do die at the end, and I'm 45, and so I feel like, you know, probably not here forever, that I set up things to do constantly. I cannot just sit and waste time because I feel so anxious about death.
That doesn't sound lazy.
I swear to God that's true.
I think you like the idea of being a lazy guy, but you're just
I
genetically
really
not
am.
like-
Oh, it's unbelievable.
No, lazy guys fall asleep watching TV with the spaghetti in a pot, and then they wake up and they flip the spaghetti over and it looks like a seal's stomach. It's still sort of blanched on the bottom because it didn't dry out. And then they just start eating that because the top is dried out. Now, if that's foreign to you, then you're not a genuinely lazy.
Well, I haven't.
By that standard across the board. I know it matters
We're
to
not
you.
electing a friend, okay? We're not electing someone that we can go and go camping with. We're electing someone who is going to do as little as possible, as far as I'm concerned, and meddle. I don't want him buying Cylindra. I don't want him forcing a healthcare program at gunpoint. I don't want him going to our enemies and doing nuclear deals with them so he can look good and he's showboating for his Muslim friends. I don't want any of that. But the reason I think that Trump is so important right now is because we're living in a real era of shame. We're living in a culture that's anti-masculine. We're living in a culture where we're ashamed of being patriotic. We're changing the name of Columbus Day. And what Trump is saying with Make America Great Again is make America proud to be great again. We know we're great, but all this capitulation and shame, and how many genders do you want me to say? It really is it's our death knell.
Hi, Chuck.
Yo, what's up, man?
Can you tilt the mic more up to your face, please?
Sure, I don't know that it works, though. I
Oh,
think it's just for show.
this is just your computer mic
Yeah. I
next to
think
a
so.
fancy mic.
I can't figure out how it works. I need to have my tech person come over. Or I can just figure it out later by reading the manual.
Yeah, you plug it into the USB port on your computer,
do?
and then you go into system preferences
So-
and check
so that's what
mic
this-
input. Yeah, that's your problem right there. Yeah, that's your problem right there.
And the Nazis cut off Holland from all supplies, so they were forced to eat tulips. And a lot of them, hundreds of thousands of them, starved to death. And Audrey Hepburn was from that world, and she was a skinny chick who didn't need a lot of food. All of her ancestors' kids became obese, big giant fat pigs. And they say it could have been genetic memory where their bodies went, holy shit, you found Doritos? I'm going to hold on to this because you're never going to find one again. Then you get and I've noticed this in LA with all these Mexicans I see everywhere. They seem more obese than the general populace, and I think they have genetic memory from a generation or two ago where food was scarce, and their bodies hold on to it. The fact that a cell can remember this throughout generations, like, have you ever heard of cell memory?
Yeah.
Where you get an eye transplant and all of a sudden you're seeing the guy that killed that guy? I think it was on 60 Minutes, but I know genetic memory is a real thing. Maybe they're right. Maybe gays should be thrown off buildings. They've scientifically proved it. Maybe a lot of these rape victims are bitches.